Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to share this one with you because we are looking at a massive, and I mean literally massive, paradigm shift in the tech world. For the longest time, if you thought about a software developer's code editor, you probably pictured something pretty mundane, right? Just a blank canvas with some color-coded text, a total snooze fest. But today, that seemingly boring screen has completely transformed. It is now fiercely contested territory, the ultimate battleground in the entire technology sector. We are officially looking at the new war for the developer's desktop. To really wrap our heads around why this war is happening, we've got to look back at the inciting incident of 2026. $60 billion. Let that sink in for a second. That is the size of the unbelievable all-stock deal where SpaceX swooped in and acquired the code editor Cursor. It's the largest venture-backed startup purchase in history. And listen, this wasn't just some headline-grabbing financial flex. It was a loud, undeniable signal to the entire industry. The era of the simple, neutral code editor, that is permanently over. So let's redefine things a bit. For years, we all knew an IDE, an integrated development environment, as just a passive window. It was just a tool you typed your code into. But, well, that definition is completely dead. Today, the IDE has evolved into the new AI distribution layer. It's this ultimate gateway where massive computing power, cutting-edge AI models, and cloud infrastructure all smash together. The IDE is rapidly becoming a full-blown operating system for creating AI-native software. It's literally the front door to a company's entire tech infrastructure. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. We'll start with the end of neutrality, then break down the three distinct combatants fighting for this multi-billion-dollar territory: Microsoft's VS Code, SpaceX's Cursor, and Replit. Finally, we'll see exactly how these competing philosophies are shaping the future of software development itself. Right, part one, the end of neutrality. We are shifting from a passive tool to highly strategic territory. You see, for most of the last decade, developers would pick an editor, maybe Vim, maybe JetBrains, and that was pretty much it. The dust was settled. These editors were quiet, totally uncontroversial pieces of personal infrastructure. They didn't really have massive business models attached, no crazy political economies, and they definitely didn't have a stake in the future of AI. But 2026 changed all of that. The ground fundamentally shifted. Neutrality is absolutely no longer the strategy, folks. Your personal developer setup has been weaponized, converted right into the core distribution layer for global AI dominance. Moving on to part two, VS Code and the augmented local model. This is all about the sheer weight of ubiquity. Microsoft's VS Code is, without a doubt, the heavyweight reigning champion of the developer world right now. I mean, it retains tens of millions of developers simply through its massive gravitational pull. Historically, it's always been this neutral, universal shell. But over the last 2 years, Microsoft has been quietly pulling the strings, transforming this super familiar local environment into a massive gateway. VS Code is effectively becoming the AI shell of the Microsoft universe. It's the front-end gateway for Copilot, GitHub, Azure, and this whole emerging ecosystem of repository-level agents. So the intelligence is drifting upward into the cloud, with the deployment pipelines that start right there in your editor and end deep inside Microsoft Azure. Now, what's really interesting about this dynamic is the double-edged sword of Microsoft's strategy. Their absolute greatest strength is ubiquity. Because every developer already lives inside VS Code, Microsoft's Copilot naturally just becomes the default cognitive layer for modern software creation. You'd think ubiquity beats specialization, right? Well, maybe not. Because VS Code is built for everyone, it is incredibly cautious, it's slow to change. When you optimize for everyone, you kind of optimize for no one. It's like trying to build a high-performance sports car that can also somehow haul a family of 8. And that massive, slow-moving vulnerability, that left the door wide open for a serious disruptor. Which brings us to part 3, Cursor, the AI-native IDE and the rise of autonomous engineering. So Cursor actually started out as a small, really fast-moving fork of VS Code. But here's the kicker. Instead of just bolting an AI chatbot onto the side of an existing editor and calling it a day, they completely rebuilt the entire editor around AI collaboration. It doesn't just auto-complete your text. It systematically reads your entire project, reasons across multiple files, proposes sweeping architectural changes, and then, get this, with a single instruction, it executes complex, multi-step transformations all on its own. Cursor isn't an IDE with AI added on. It's an AI that happens to have an IDE wrapped around it. It is a true autonomous collaborator. So how does this tie into the broader corporate warfare we're talking about? Why on earth did SpaceX fork over $60 billion for this? Well, SpaceX already had immense computing power and frontier models, right?
but they lacked a distribution surface, a place where developers actually sit down and interact with AI at scale. Buying Cursor solves that problem instantly. Internally, Cursor becomes the core reasoning layer for Starlink, for their launch systems, and for SpaceX's sprawling manufacturing operations. Externally, it hands SpaceX a huge enterprise-facing AI platform to compete head-to-head with giants like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, right on the desktop where developers already live. And this brings us right to Cursor's core bet. The future of software is autonomous engineering, and the IDE is the gateway. In their eyes, AI integration is absolutely no longer just an add-on or a helpful little widget. It is the fundamental foundation of software creation moving forward, period. Now, part 4, Replit. This is the cloud-native counter-movement, and their goal is dissolving the desktop entirely. While Microsoft and SpaceX are out there fighting these brutal, bloody battles over the local desktop environment, Replit is pulling a totally radical move. They are outright rejecting the local development model altogether. In Replit's world, the browser is the IDE, the cloud is the runtime, and agents are first-class citizens. They literally do not want your local machine. They want everything pushed into a highly collaborative, completely cloud-native, browser-based environment. And this brilliantly illustrates just how far Replit is pushing this concept with their Agent for ecosystem. You can build, run, and deploy entirely within your browser. But it goes further. They are integrating seamlessly with commerce systems, backed by a massive strategic investment from Visa. Think about that. Replit is essentially acting like Heroku, GitHub, VS Code, and Stripe, all rolled into one single vertical platform. They aren't trying to get acquired by a tech giant. They are actively positioning themselves as a standalone IPO candidate. They're building an ecosystem that neither Microsoft nor SpaceX can easily replicate. And finally, part 5, 3 philosophies, 3 futures. The totally fractured developer desktop. So the crucial point we need to take away is that this market is actively fracturing into 3 distinct, hardened ecosystems. On one side, we have VS Code championing the augmented local model, acting as that cautious but incredibly ubiquitous gateway to Microsoft's cloud. Then we have Cursor pushing the AI native model, serving as this high-speed reasoning engine and gateway straight into SpaceX's massive compute power. And finally, we have Replit championing the cloud-native model, attempting to dissolve the editor into the browser completely. Make no mistake, these aren't just minor software variations. These are fiercely competing theories, an epic clash of ideas about exactly how software will be created over the next 10 years. As our source material firmly states, the editor is the new operating system for AI native development. That $60 billion SpaceX acquisition of Cursor, that was literally just the opening shot. We have entered a completely new competitive era. The editor is highly strategic. Distribution is destiny, and the companies that manage to control these environments, they are going to dictate the very definition of what development actually means. The local first world, the AI native world, and the cloud native world are pulling apart. They're creating their own gravities, their own unique economics. The war for the developer's desktop hasn't ended, it has only just begun. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought to chew on. The market is fragmenting into 3 parallel universes. As we look ahead to the next decade of software creation, which universe will you build in? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this helped map out the incredibly exciting, high-stakes battlegrounds of the modern IDE. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I will see you next time.